Yep, as you can see, I put her to sleep. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or actually, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and hot rodders of all ages. Why don't you pull up a chair and we'll talk about taking a break. Now, when I say take a break, I don't mean like the caffeinated kind of break where you sit down and shop and you talk about your yard, how it's growing, how the garden's doing, and how the rain affected everything. I'm going to talk about brakes on this little hot rod. Once again, this is a Tribute T, and this is the brake system for it. I apologize for not doing a build series on this. Had a few little technical glitches. Well, let's just call it like it is. I deleted the video by mistake where I put all these brake lines together and everything. So I apologize, but we're going to talk about this right now. So let's go through some of the parts. You got your master cylinder, came with the kit. It's got two different reservoirs in it. It's a disc brake, drum brake combo, but it also works for disc and disc because this vehicle has the dual disc system. Dual disc system. Boy, that's a tongue twister. So let's talk about this. So to get the big reservoir, that comes over and it goes to the residual valve. You can see it in there, that little purple valve. That's a 2 psi residual valve. And what that does, it holds 2 psi on your brake line going to your calipers, and that allows it, or that keeps it from allowing air to be sucked back in when your master cylinder is below your calipers. I'll get this out eventually. It's been a long day at work already, and here I am in the shop. So after we come out of the residual valve, we got a T, comes over here, goes to our brake pressure switch. So that when you step on the brakes, that activates the switch, and then you have a brake light. So I chose to run, let's see, we got one line, drives up and goes to the driver's side. And then we got another line going to the front. It comes underneath the transmission and continues up on the passenger side. I like the looks of that a little bit better than I do with the line going across where you'd see it. And I'll show you how that looks here in the front in just a few minutes. So we're going to keep this video short and sweet. So we come down here. We come out of the back. We come over here. And we got a residual valve. Now you can turn this, and that allows you to adjust the amount of pressure going to the rear brakes to equal it out. There is a formula for that, and you can look that up online. I can't think of it right now. I do know it, but I just can't think of it right now. So we also have another 2 psi residual valve on there, and that continues on up the frame to the rear brakes. So in tradition, let's talk about part numbers now and how we did this. And look at that. Look at that, the way she's taking a break. That's a natural born shop dog. All right, so let's talk about some of the tools I've used here, what brake lines I used, how I did this all. And let me get to this week's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Luann's Coffee and Route 66 Photo Ops. Their slogan is take a break, capture the chaos, one cup and one photo op at a time. Here's one of the part numbers. This was a 90 degree number 3 to 1/8 inch. That goes on through the brake frame. I chose those because I like the the dash 3s because of this fitting here. It's a 2-piece fitting. Let me show you how it works. I do not have a part number for that, but we can probably get you one. So, it's typical, slides on, then you have this ferrule that slides on, and then you go ahead and you just flare that out. It's a single flare, not a double flare. I'll show you the flaring tool I use. It's really handy, and I would recommend it to anybody. So it's a pretty simple. I like these flare nuts that I use, and how many people have done a really nice flare the old-fashioned way, the double flare, and forgot to put your hardware on it? It is aggravating. I've done it countless times. So on this one, let me just show you a little quick rundown on this, how it works. Get a little tension on there, and I got the flat. I don't know if you can see that. Let me move this over, and you can see the operations firsthand. So I do that. I tighten it down, and with this flare, nut, it's just a one operation. So just pull it in and it's easy peasy. Look at that. So let's see. And look at that. I put that nut on backwards. I'll be damned. Here I am talking and not paying attention. And so you get the picture of it. You know, this flare actually goes the other way. And then the nut goes over and it screws on. So that's one type that it works. It does the bubble flare also. You get the gist of it. When you do the double bubble, you set it, you turn it to your first one for your pipe size, you pull it again, and you turn it, you pull it again, and then you take it all out. So great tool, I highly recommend it. Okay, so let's get to part numbers. So those little proportioning valves are God damn it, right here, you can read it right there what it says. I just can't talk today. There's the part number. I used two of those, one for the front, one for the back. Proportioning valve, here's the part number for that. Great part. Here is the part number for the number 3 by 1/8 inch NPT 90-degree angles. I do not have a part number for those little ferrules and stuff. I apologize for that. I used clamps to hold my brake lines down. You know, just a simple clamp like that. This is a 3/8, and actually I used a 3/16, so you know, that's what it looks like. This is the way it comes. That is not the correct part number for that. I just can't find the bag for that right now. Here is the brake line. It comes in a coil. It's easy to manipulate, bend over. You can bend it by hand. I did that on some. Of course, this isn't 3/16, but here you can see the part number for the 3/16 brake line. If I can get it in there. Oh, there it is. Had my finger on it. So that's a really nice brake line kit. Tells you all the fittings you need and everything in case you decide to do the double bubble flare. You know, these are the fittings you would do on those. So for the inverted flare nut. So there you have that. One thing I would recommend is a little tool like this. Basically, when you got your line and it's got the, you know, you undo it and then you try to straighten it out and you got that little crimp on there, you put this little dealy bob in there, push that lever, work it back and forth a couple times, and it straightens it out. It's not perfect, but it does a good job. So those are a couple tools I used. One other tool, after I use my cutoff, take this little point, stick it in there, give it a couple twists. That deburrs the inside, and of course the other side, you put it on there, give it a couple twists. That deburrs the outside. Of course, you got to have a handy dandy marker for when you do use a bender. What I do is I put a mark on there, and I take my bender, and then I can put it right on that first mark. Let me get it in there correctly. Right on that first mark, and I know that's where that bend is going to start every time. So I can do my angle bends, and it comes up a really nice bend. So I did partially use my bender. I got some hand bending ones that I use for really tight. If you got the nut really close to it, they work really well. I do not have a part number for them, but there's plenty of those online also. So there you go. That's how. Oh, let me show you the front brakes. So here's the front brakes. You know, I think it looks better the way they route inside like that versus coming up on one side, then a T, then it runs all the way around and then back in. I just think it looks a little better that way. Of course, I got my black braided brake lines on there, and I'll use something like that for the back. And there you go. I think we're under 10 minutes, so thanks for watching. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it, and that'll help with my sponsorships because, you know, those sponsors really do pay for this high quality video editing that you get with me. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.